Hello, we're here to talk about the inevitability of identity. My name is John, John Usher. I also go by the avatar of Teaspoon. I am a neurolinguistic practitioner. I coach, business coach, and I've spent the last 30 years working in businesses to help them grow, develop. Not just businesses, I help individuals as well. But when you're working with businesses, you're working with people, right? So it's all the same thing. So I chose Teaspoon because I believe that people have all the resources that they need for success in life and in godliness already within them. And it needs stirring from time to time. So if you take a cup and you've got all the ingredients for coffee in there, you've got the coffee in, you put the milk in, you put sugar in, you add the hot water, you don't drink it immediately because a lot of the coffee is still lying down at the bottom, right? So you stir it. You stir that the ingredients permeate the entire cup and you get the flavor all the way through. And I think for the most part, people's lives have flavor in certain areas, but not in all of their areas. And my job is to add nothing, take away nothing, but just to stir what's already there. I sometimes refer it to being a well drawer, right? Where I drop the bucket into the well and pull out the resources that are inside, where that well is the people, businesses that I'm dealing with, the personalities that I'm dealing with. So I talk about the inevitability of identity because I think that our identities, whether we are aware of them or not, has a natural course, has a pathway that it follows, and the results, the consequences are inevitable, they're unavoidable. You cannot avoid what our identities produce. Our lives are a product of the identities that we have. For example, if you were to have an identity where you say, I am a smoker, the inevitable conclusion of that identity is I am a smoker is going to smoke, right? I am a smoker may quit from time to time, but they always start again because that's how they are identified. They're identified by the fact that they smoke. I am a smoker acknowledges who they are by acting it out, by living it out. That is the inevitable path that that identity is going to follow. Somebody wanting to quit smoking doesn't change their identity, maintains the identity of I am a smoker, but adds the suffix on there, I am a smoker that has now quit. That suffix that has now quit is going to be a temporary thing. It's going to be inevitable that at some point they're going to start smoking again. So it's relevant to us because I think people have identities that they're not aware of. These are identity statements that are lying on an unconscious level that they've formed through their life, whether it's through their upbringing, through interaction with loved ones, caregivers, being impressed on them by society. I don't know, we get identity statements from all over the place. But it's something that has happened that it had an emotional impact on us, and we've had some kind of emotional attachment to that identity statement or that event, from which we then generate an identity statement. So our identity statements could be positive, they could be empowering, they could be resourceful, or they could be limiting, right? So for me, I don't talk about right or wrong, and there is no good or bad in those identities. What may be a bad identity for me might be a good identity for you. What may work for me might not work for you. So it is very subjective in terms of who has the identity statement. When we talk about limiting or beneficial or empowering, limiting means it's giving you permission or not giving you permission to do certain things. which are detrimental to your well-being, are not in your favor. Where empowering identities are going to be identities that give you permission to do things or not do things that work in your favor, are to your benefit. A limiting identity is not just not giving you permission to do something. It's sometimes giving you permission to do something that's negative. Might be a negative behavior, like smoking, for example. I'm not picking on the smokers, right? You do you, boo. Whatever. It's just an easy example. But I am a smoker is giving them permission to smoke, although it has been labeled as an unhealthy activity with serious consequences on your health. But having the identity, I am a smoker, gives that person permission to then smoke, gives them permission to do that activity causing the self-harm, and it's justified in the values and beliefs that they'll attach to that identity. A limiting belief can also be something, an identity that gives us permission to not do something. I am not great in relationships. So now having a relationship could be a healthy and beneficial thing for me. But because my identity is saying as I'm not good in relationships, I'd rather avoid them. So we've got limiting beliefs where an identity gives you permission to do something that is ultimately destructive to you, or the identity will give you permission to not do something, and by not doing it, you're actually hurting yourself. The same is true for an empowering or a positive belief. The limiting belief is going to make you stand still, which ultimately means you're going to move backwards in life, because we live in a power evolving universe, right? So if you're standing still, you're regressing. Or it's going to give you permission to progress towards the success, towards the ideals that you have in your life. The point of having this series on YouTube and elsewhere is to highlight the inevitability of identity and the fact that we have choice, we have control over those identities, and we can shape them and change them to suit us, to allow us to grow in the direction that we want to, not limit us to the place where it is detrimental to us. Through the series, what we're going to do is we're going to talk about attitudes, we're going to talk about values, we're going to talk about beliefs, and all the while talking about very basic tools that you can apply to your life to bring about the change. Why would you want change? You would want change because you want something better for your life. You want change because you don't want to be stuck repeating the same self-destructive patterns. You want change because that's going to allow you to become the kind of person that's going to develop the success that you ideally want. If you were going to have the success that you dream about, you would have had it already, right? But we don't get in this world what we want, we get in this world who we are. Our circumstances, our situation, our surroundings is a reflection of our identity. It's not our identity, but it's definitely a reflection. We get who we are. Manifestation, has become such a thing on social media, but manifestation is inevitable. You are manifesting all the time. You can't not manifest. You are manifesting who you are. Who you are is producing the results. So if you look around you and you're not happy with the circumstances and situation, you've got to know those circumstances have manifested as a direct result of your identities, your values, your beliefs. You have produced the environment that you live in. I'm not taking away from the fact that sometimes bad things happen to good people, right? That there is that. I get it. And we're not here to judge and criticize good people that have had bad things happen to them. But we are going to question, what are you doing about it? Are you sitting sulking and wallowing in the self-pity, or are you going to move on and create the success that you want for your life? That choice is yours. In terms of the identities that we choose, we pick those identities and then we regret the consequences. So it's not always the identity itself that is bad or negative in our assumption. It is the consequences that has the negative impact. So I am a smoker is not necessarily a bad thing, but the smoking has negative consequences. You can't choose the one and be free from the consequences. You can't have the identity and walk away from the results, because one's going to manifest the other. A lot of people are choosing identities, choosing to ignore the consequences of those identities, and they're not surprised when those consequences hit them in the face, and they start bearing the impact of those decisions that they've made in their body, in their health, in their mind, in their mental wellness, in their financial status, in their career paths, in their relationships. And then all of a sudden they want to cry, boo-hoo, poor me. No, you, to a large degree, have picked that, and to deny that is literally to deny the power and ability to change. So if you're going to keep blaming circumstances and situations around you, you offering those circumstances and situations all of your power and ability to change it and do something about it. At some point, you're going to have to realize if there's going to be change, it's going to be up to you. So that's what we're talking about in the inevitability of identity. Hi there, my name is John Usher. I'm also known as the Teaspoon, and this series is all about the inevitability of identity. Please join us.